All right. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for our webinar this evening, The New Year for the New You, Diabetes Resolutions That Stick. I hope everybody is having a good new year so far, and staying warm the best you can wherever you may be in the country. But yes, thank you for joining us tonight. I hope this can be a good kind of good start, um, good kickstart for your diabetes care in this new year of 2024. So just a couple things about how these programs work. We hope it to be an interactive program. Our format will include a short presentation, and then it will be followed by interactive discussion. uh, where you will type in questions. You'll see this picture here to the side where you'll use the question section of the webinar toolbar, where you, at the end, our presenter, she'll let you know it's time for questions. And when that time comes, you can type up your questions in the little box there. And we look forward to that and for this to be an interactive webinar. Okay, we have some disclaimers before we move forward into the information. We know that the information you're about to hear may motivate you to make lifestyle changes, but please consult your physician before making any changes to your current routine. And the Cecilia Health Certified Diabetes Educator will provide strategies to help manage your diabetes. The online Q&A session that I just kind of talked about is intended to give general advice. The information is not a substitute for personal medical advice and involves just the professional opinion of the Cecilia Health Certified Diabetes Educators. All right, so your presenter today is Teresa Grasso. She is a registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist. She has been working in the nutrition field for over 20 years and has specialized in diabetes care for the last 10. She resides in New Jersey with her husband and her 3 girls, and she leads an active lifestyle with her family as they are involved in multiple sports and activities. She is passionate about nutrition and leading a healthy lifestyle and enjoys teaching others how to improve their health. All right, so she will take it away from here. All right, Teresa.
Thank you. Thanks so much. All right, welcome everybody. Happy New Year. So a little bit about our discussion tonight. We'll be focusing on setting yourself up for success. So in that new year, setting some goals. We like to talk about our goals as SMART goals. So we're going to be smart and we're going to look into that. We're going to talk about writing down these goals, creating your team who's going to help support you through this new year, through these new goals, how motivated you are. So being motivated is super important. To try to be forgiving of yourself, and we will go over some question answers and sharing. So just a little bit about our agenda. And we want to remind you, talk to your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diabetes treatment plan. Okay, so how can we set ourselves up for success? Where can you better set yourself up? So there's a lot of different areas when we're talking about our health, right? We can look at our food shopping. Maybe it's creating list and meal prepping. You know, that could certainly be a goal to help us to eating healthier, which in turn can help our blood sugar. Maybe we need to go through our kitchen cabinets and our fridge. We just had all those wonderful holidays, and with those a lot of times brings lots of extra food in the house. So maybe we need to kind of look through what's going on in our cabinets and in our households and see, do I need to maybe start to get rid of some of these things? Do I have healthy foods that are going to help me be successful if I'm trying to eat healthier and have a healthier lifestyle? And we want to think about our mindset, right? So we want to be motivated. We're going to talk about setting goals, which are important. And we just want to, overall get our mind ready, because as you know, with eating healthier and maybe losing weight, with diabetes management, we do need to have our mind in it, right? We can't just expect to say I'm going to do better and that's all it takes, right? We have to kind of focus on a lot of different areas. So we're going to touch on a bunch of those different things. Um, it's not always easy, right? What happens when we throw in that towel? Success doesn't come and find you. You have to go out and get it. So, what happens when you fall off the wagon? We might have these great goals, but nobody's perfect. None of us are created to be perfect. So, it will happen, whether it's, a day that maybe we eat something that, is not in our plan, or maybe it's, um, maybe we have a bad week, maybe we're not feeling well. Sometimes in these winter months, colds creep in, maybe we have some stress, whether it's work or something with our family. There's a lot of things that can kind of derail us that pop up. But we have to just kind of have that mindset and really acknowledge what are some things in the past that maybe caused me to fall off the wagon, caused me to give up, and really kind of think about how can I not let that happen again? Are there people around you who kind of influence you to quit? So, sometimes we have some critics around us, and maybe we don't always surround ourselves with the best support system. So maybe we need to think about that. And we want to remember we can always bounce back, right? If it's one bad day, one bad week, one bad month, it doesn't mean, that's it, right? Small steps to kind of get yourself back on track, working with your team, to really kind of get you to that success that you need. Okay. All right. And you want to learn from your mistakes, right? Sometimes when we make a mistake or things don't go so well, we kind of, that helps us think like, okay, what can I do better? So picking yourself back up, dusting yourself off, reassessing where you're at, and getting yourself back on track. So, just really depending what it is. So we're going to talk more about different things we can do, but certainly journaling is going to be something that can really be helpful. Whether it's food journaling, if you're working on eating healthier, taking some time, keeping a food journal, and then using that journal to really assess where you're at. If I write down what I eat for a week, maybe I look back and see, how did I do? Where did I kind of maybe not do so well? If it's something like water you're working on, maybe you are going to have a goal of drinking more water. We know that sometimes in the winter months it's cold, we kind of slip off on that water drinking. Maybe that's a goal you have and that's what you're tracking, and you can keep that journal to see how am I doing. Maybe we're trying to motivate ourselves to exercise more, so maybe we're tracking that and seeing, how much movement am I getting in a day? So maybe you can look at that, but really just kind of seeing like, was there a time that you set up a goal and you really didn't achieve it, or it really didn't work for you, and what was the reason for that? So, you know, thinking of exercise, maybe, if we make a general goal for ourselves, I'm going to exercise, that might not work. Maybe we need to be more specific, and we're going to really get into that to see how we can be specific with our goals and help achieve them. All right. So, how can you interpret old thoughts and behaviors? So, again, thinking back to things that may have worked for you, things that might not have worked, is really first being aware, right? And knowing what works for you. And then, second, really looking at patterns. What are some patterns that really don't work for you, and how can we change those things? So, for example, maybe you have an instance where, every Friday at work is bagels for breakfast, and this is a really tough day for you. You can't, you're not sure what to do. They're there, I want to eat them, but I know that they're gonna, it's a little too big, it raises my blood sugar, I'm trying to eat something a little healthier. So how can I disrupt that pattern? Maybe it's thinking like, okay, let's talk to whoever, brings in these bagels, and maybe we can have a different thing. Maybe bagels are once a month, and then other days we do, fruit and yogurt. Maybe you're meal prepping, you're bringing things in, so you're not going for those foods that are out in front of you places. So really just kind of being aware of what's around you, what your goals are, and how am I going to change those things? How am I going to set my mind up? Our mind is a powerful thing. We want to fill it with positive thoughts. Your life will start to change, right? So if we're always kind of thinking of the negative, like why things don't work, that's not really what we want to do. We want to think of, how can I be positive? How can I twist things, and how can I make them work for me? Okay, where are my thoughts going, right? And that may be where we talk a little bit about journaling. Journaling, we mentioned food journaling, but it can also be like emotional journaling, writing down your thoughts, having a positivity journal. So that's a really good thing to think about. Positivity journal might just be listing out a positive word of the day, or even a positive word for the week. And when our thoughts kind of derail, like, this is hard, I can't do this, we can go to that positive word, and you can change up that word. Maybe your word, or it could be a phrase, like, I can do this. So when you're having a hard time, maybe you go to your positivity journal with your positive word of the day. Maybe your word is confident. So you're like reminding yourself, I'm confident I can do this. Maybe your word is success. I know I'm going to be successful at this. So that's a way to kind of change our mindset. And having a journal to go through that is super helpful. So what we're also going to look for is making those goals, right? And I mentioned be smart, because we're thinking of SMART goals. And what SMART goals stands for is, the S is for specific. What do you want to do? So we want to be specific with our goal. The M is for measurable. How will you know you've achieved it, you've reached it, right? We want to measure our goal. A is for achievable. Is it in your power to accomplish it? So we want our goals to be achievable. The R is for realistic. Can you realistically achieve it? So, we don't want it out of our reach, right? We want it to be a realistic goal that we can manage, and we'll be able to do it. And timely. So the T is for timely. When exactly do you want to accomplish it? So we're going to walk through that, but that's what we want to think about when we're setting goals. We don't want those goals to just be a general goal. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to start drinking more water. We want to think of, how am I going to do it? How am I going to be specific with it? How am I going to measure that? How am I going to achieve it? And, I want to be realistic and timely. So let's just look at some phrases here. So here's an example. I will work up to walking 30 minutes 5 times per week on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 7 a.m. till 7:30 a.m. over the next 6 weeks. So you could see that is super specific, right? I'm not just saying I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to walk more. I'm going to walk a couple times a week. I'm being very specific. I'm setting that time. So you could set it on your calendar, just like you would schedule an appointment. That helps you stick to it. You have those days mapped out. You know when you're doing it, and you're realistic with yourself, right? If this is what's going to work for you, this is what you're writing down. Okay. To dive into it a little more, I will start with 10 minutes 3 times times a week for the first week. Then I'll increase to 15 minutes 3 times a week for a week. Then I'll increase to 20 minutes 4 times a week for 2 weeks. And then I'll increase to 30 minutes 4 times a week for 2 weeks. Finally, I'll get to 5 times per week. Okay, so being super specific, but you can see what we mean, that we're trying to set those goals so they're super specific. Maybe back to that water example. I'm going to drink 8 cups of water. So I say how many I'm going to do. I'm going to do that, 7 days a week, or maybe it depends where you're at, right? Let's say somebody only drinks 2 glasses of water. So I'm going to drink, 4 glasses of water 5 days a week. Whatever you want your goal to be, which you're able to achieve, and then you can gradually work up, right? Our goal would be to work up to 8 cups of water a day. But again, we assess where we're at now, and you could see what would make that goal work for you. So just kind of being super specific is helpful in, making those goals realistic and achievable. And we definitely want to write it down, right? We don't want those goals floating out in the air, floating in our mind, because we want to make them specific. We want to write them down. And we know that people who write their goals down are more likely to achieve them. So you can certainly go for the old-fashioned pen and paper, getting a notebook is super helpful, writing these things down. There also are tons of apps that you can, put these goals in. There's a lot of different fitness apps that have it, or sometimes the health apps on your phone will have these kind of things that you can put on. You could go to the app store on your phone, and I'm sure you could type in like goals, or you'll find somewhere in there that there'll be some way to keep these goals. There's also even reminders on your phone. You could put it in there. Maybe you set it that it pops up, once a day at the same time every day to remind you. So just writing it down is something that will help you focus on it, and help you with changing, behaviors. It's making it a constant. It's making it part of your routine. Okay, so you're going to be accountable when you write it down. We mentioned posting reminders. So again, could be in your phone, could be, maybe you make a calendar and you stick it on your fridge or your closet door, somewhere that you're looking at every day, that maybe you can kind of keep a little checklist or calendar and mark these things down, and just really be accountable for achieving them. Okay, so just posting something as a visual reminder is also helpful. And we know that people who keep a food diary tend to lose more weight than those who do not. So a food diary can be super helpful, specifically with diabetes, right? So we may be trying to lose weight, we may be trying to control our blood sugars, we may be trying to do both. So if we keep a record of both our food intake and our blood sugar intake, our blood sugar readings, we can really see how we're doing. So we can keep that record. Our record should try to be specific, right? We want to know the time of our meal. We want to know what we ate, our portion sizes. This way we can dive into it a little more to see, how many carbs you ate, how much protein, how much fat, just kind of seeing the balance of your meals. It's always so good to write how you're feeling in this journal. Like, I was super hungry, or I was full, I was satisfied, things like that. Did I feel like shaky or dizzy before I ate? So maybe, that would be a reason I need to look at the timing of my meals. Do I go too long without eating, and maybe my blood sugar's dropping a little bit? So I can kind of see like, oh, a certain time each day from my journal, I can see, ooh, that's when I feel tired or dizzy. And maybe that would be something to look into, that maybe I need to check my blood sugar at that time. Maybe I'm seeing a trend that, oh, it looks like my blood sugar is dipping because I'm, skipping my snack. Maybe I missed a medication dose. So that's also good to track when you're keeping your journal. So it's just really good to kind of have that down again on paper, or maybe in an app, and this way you can kind of see what trends are going on and where you might need to make some changes. Okay. Another helpful tool is visualizing it, right? Creating a vision board. Um, so I know this is like popular. My kids have done it with, different clubs and in school. I know some like yoga studios or, community events, they do things like this. And you really can have anything on your vision board, right? This is for you. So maybe you put some of those words we mentioned before, like confidence, success, that could be on your vision board. You could put things that make you happy. Maybe in this example, this person likes turtles and they put that on there. Maybe you're going on a trip soon and you put a picture of the Eiffel Tower or wherever you're going. Maybe you're looking forward to spring, so you throw on some pictures of flowers. Your support people maybe are on there, friend, family member, spouse. Maybe you put them on there. So just really anything that's, a vision for you. If it's something you're looking to achieve, maybe you're graduating soon and you put up a picture of a diploma. Maybe you're going to run a marathon soon. So that might be a picture you're putting up. Maybe you're not going to run a marathon, but you're just going to walk each day and you put a picture of somebody walking. So it really could be anything, but this is something that you can really pull together of things that are going to help motivate you, what your visions are, what you want to achieve, and throw that onto a vision board and put that somewhere where you're going to look at it, and it can kind of bring you back to that good mindset, right? Especially if we're having a day that you're like, this isn't working, I'm tired, maybe that mind is drifting to where we don't want it to go. You can pull back to your vision board and hopefully help you see some of those confidence. Why am I doing this? Who supports me? What are my goals? And that can really help you by kind of looking at those things and have them right in front of you. Okay. And who's going to help you, right? So we call this our dream team. So people's dream teams may be different, but when we have a disease like diabetes, our doctor should definitely be on our team. So we want to be working with our doctor. We want to make sure we're open and honest. If something's not working for you, you want to let your doctor know and work together to make changes. Your dietitian, your Cecilia health coach, working with them, they're certainly on your team to help you achieve your goals. And then maybe you have some others, whether it's your spouse, your partner, a best friend. Some people might have a personal trainer. Your pet could be on your dream team. Maybe you walk your dog and your dog is motivating you to help walk some more. Maybe you cuddle up with your cat at night and that helps you kind of rest your mind and give you some of that self-care. Maybe your children, your grandchildren are on your team. Oftentimes people want to make sure they're healthier for their kids and for their grandkids. So they're definitely often a support for you. And maybe it's your faith and your spirituality that's part of your team, right? Those may be things that help keep you going, keep you motivated. So create that team for yourself, know who's there for you, know who's going to support you. But really beware of those who are not on your team. We can kind of call them the discouragement committee or people who might be negative. We can all have them in our lives, and whether they might be going through something on their own and maybe they're not in a good place right now. Sometimes there's people who can be negative and maybe not supporting what you're doing. So just kind of be mindful of that. Think of the friends you're around. Are they supportive? Maybe there's certain people that you don't talk to your goals about, and then other people's who you talk to your goals about and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that with you, or I'm going to start walking too. Maybe we'll try to walk together at lunch or on the weekend. Think about that circle you're with and who's going to be part of this health journey and who might not be part of it. And everybody's not going to be on the same page, so it's okay. But you don't want to have that negativity around you when you're trying to make changes. And we want to think about our motivation, right? So, how motivated are you? So, obviously, if we're trying to set goals and achieve them, we need to be somewhat motivated, right? If we're not motivated at all, if it's not important to us, it's going to be really hard to do. So, really think about that. What are these goals and how motivated are you to achieve them? If you say, going back to that exercise example, 5 days a week, 7 to 7:30, and this was my goal, but now I just got all this overtime at work and I'm busy and my kids were sick and it's winter and that's really not a priority at the moment, then you're probably not that motivated to reach that goal. So really think, where's my motivation? Should be in those upper numbers, right? 6 to 10, 5 to 10. If it's less than that, then maybe that's not the right goal at this moment. And it doesn't mean don't have a goal, but maybe we need to tweak that goal a little bit, right? Maybe I can't get in 5 days a week from 7 to 7:30, but maybe I'm going to switch it and say, I'm going to do 15 minutes on my lunch break, or whatever you need to do to really think, I'm setting these goals, but I need to be motivated to achieve them. Okay. And one of the biggest thing is to be forgiving of yourself, right? It is an act of grace to forgive. It is an act of love to offer yourself another chance. So I know I mentioned this in the beginning, but it's not about being perfect, right? None of us are perfect. We're not built to be perfect. So there will be days that don't go as planned, but we really have to think like, it happens. I need to pick myself back up and I need to get back on track. So if I have something that I just didn't do well with this goal, think about it, right? Was it not the right goal for me? Maybe I need to change it. Was I not motivated? And now I realize, okay, I'm going to start over and I'm going to do it now. So really just give yourself that grace. Don't try to be perfect and just allow yourself, if you do, make a mistake or you don't do well, just start over. Okay. So I hope everybody liked our discussion and is thinking about your goals and is thinking about, maybe journaling and maybe that positivity word and what kind of things you can do to keep yourself back on track. Um, and now is the time that we can really kind of answer some questions, right? So if you have any questions, please put them in our chat and I will be able to answer any of those. So I'll give you a couple minutes. If anybody wants to type in any questions, that would be great. All right, so one thing somebody is asking is, what is the best way to get started, right? There isn't really one answer to that, but I would say one of the best things to do is to, grab a notebook and really write down what you want to do, right? What are these goals you have? What are we looking to achieve? And really just start to kind of think about that and think about what you want to do. And again, we want to be specific. Do I want to start working on my diet first, right? Maybe I want to start eating healthier, and then kind of jot down ways that you can do that. Is it, meal prepping? Is it making sure, like we said, going through the fridge and the cabinets and making sure there's healthy foods on hand? Is it getting my blood sugars under control? So maybe I need to make sure I'm taking my medication every day. Maybe I need to start checking my blood sugars. So really kind of map out, maybe just start with one or two things that you want to work on, and then just kind of break them down. How am I going to achieve those? Where am I going to start to do that? And really that journal is the best place to start. So it might be that food record with the blood sugar record, and that really can help you kind of see where you're at with things. So that would be something that I, definitely recommend to get started. Okay. Does programs like Whole30 or I have such a hard time reading these, or other programs help get you started? It really just depends. Like some people do well with a more structured plan. So I would just, any kind of nutrition plans or anything, you could review that with your dietitian, your doctor, your Cecilia health coach. But a lot of times that is helpful to people to not just have this general like I'm gonna start eating healthier, to kind of have a plan. So whether it's like I want to do like a Mediterranean style diet, or I'm going to do, a more plant-based diet or nutrition plan. I'm going to do, if I right now eat a very high carb diet, I don't want to do no carbs, but maybe I'm going to try to lower my carbs, or something like the Whole30. You just want to look into it. But those are certainly a good way to get started, to kind of read up on maybe some different plans and review them with your doctor, your dietitian, your coach, and maybe decide what kind of plan would be best for you. Because when you do something like that too, you can even look up like what are some good recipes on a Mediterranean plan, or whatever plan that you're choosing. What are some good snack ideas and things like that. So, that it's always a good place to start, maybe looking at different kind of nutrition plans and then pulling from it, where you want to go with it. So, that could definitely be something to do. And there are, besides just food, if we're thinking about exercise, that's also a good idea, right? What programs are out there? Do I have the resources and want to join a gym and, work with their personal trainer or their classes, or, things like that? Or do I want to get an app on my phone, whether it's a paid app, that has exercise, things on it, or, maybe I go to the on demand on my TV, or I go to YouTube, and there's definitely exercise routines on there. And maybe that's how I can start too. Like, okay, I'm going to do, one routine on my app each day. Um, you know, 15 minutes for 3 days out of the week, or whatever it is. You can often find different type of exercises, like maybe you want to do yoga one day, or stretching one day, weights a couple days, cardio. So definitely kind of looking at those things are helpful too, to get you started. What is a good health app? I wish I could see. Okay. What is a good health app for a diabetic type 1.5? So let me see. You can, if you go on our Cecilia Health website, um, we have our blogs. So you have to scroll all the way to the bottom, and it says participants blogs. And we have a really good blog on diabetes apps and websites. So off the top of my head, I can't think of any specific names. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Or you can also like go to the American Diabetes Association website. That's, always a good resource, and look on there to see, their recommendations. A lot of the pharmaceutical companies, if you're on one of their medications, that might be an area to look at. They oftentimes have apps that you can use. But those are some things that I would kind of look at, and to find some of those. All right, so I'm just gonna look if there's anything else. All right, so I'll give another minute if anybody has any other questions. Okay, and I did want to let you know about our upcoming live events or other webinars. So we usually have them once a month or so, once or twice a month. And in February, we have all the medication tips your doctor didn't have time to tell you, and that's on February 7th from 7 to 8. And then in March would be, I think there's one, oops, stop focusing on what you can't eat and learn about all you can eat, healthy eating with diabetes. And that date is still to be determined, but that's a really great webinar. So if you're interested, you'll be able to sign up for those. Okay. So if you want to attend more events, ask your clinician, your Cecilia Health coach. You can reply to one of our emails and you'll be able to see all the ones that are available. You can sign up for text messages and you can certainly follow us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Cecilia Health. So those are all great resources. And as I mentioned, we have some really great blogs too. So you'll be able to see those on our website and they're often posted on our Facebook page also. All right, but thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate your attendance and participation. And if you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out to your coach. Okay, hope everyone has a great night.